Hey guys, let me see. Do you guys hear me? Let me know if you guys hear me. Let me just make sure the angle's okay. Should be okay there, I would imagine. So yeah, we'll give it a few minutes for people to funnel in. I typically kind of give a 5-minute window before I start answering any questions. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat now. I'll start from whoever answers first. You don't hear me, Steven? Jack hears me. Tony hears me. Yes, yeah. Check your volume, Steve. Let me know if you maybe are just volume low. Hey Quan, what's up? Yeah, so we'll give it a few minutes. I'm just gonna go grab some water as well. Was just wrapping up a lesson earlier, so it was just a couple minutes late. But yeah, any questions you guys may have, just you can file it into the chat. I'll answer them in the order that they are asked. I will be right back in a couple minutes. Let me turn on the sim as well. Hey, good to see you guys here. I'm just gonna keep setting up. Yeah, so we'll give it a couple more minutes. What time is it? It's been 3 minutes. Yeah, we'll give it a few more. We'll give it a couple more minutes before we start. I typically start at the 5-minute mark. Yeah, hopefully you guys are all doing okay during this time. Pretty. I should grab a table for this. Give me one sec. Just give me one sec. I'm gonna move my laptop. My laptop's just on a rotating chair right now, actually. Let me just make it a little bit more stable so no one gets motion sickness here. Oh, that looks a lot better. Yeah, that should be better, guys. All right, we'll give it half a more minute. Hey, Tom, good to see you. I'm sure you're excited for your trip. Yeah, keep filing questions in if you guys have any questions. Would be happy to answer them to the best of my ability. Yeah, so it's been a while since we did this chat. Actually, I believe I was back in my parents' house when I did my last chat during last year's lockdown when I was in between houses when I was moving out of the condo into this house. So as I mentioned back then, I bought a house to put a simulator in, which you guys can see, so I can make better videos. So I think so we can actually have the Q&A with the simulator up. So if you guys have any questions about how the swing should move or like particular feels or swing questions, it'd be a lot easier for me to answer them now, just because I have an actual hitting area. So let's see. Let's start from the top, guys. Jack, Larry, the work I have done on my iron game has been great, but hasn't translated to my driver. Any ideas? Usually, it's a matter of not exaggerating enough from what I've seen. It's hard to say for sure because I've never worked with you. I've never seen your swing, but it typically, as a very general rule of thumb, if your changes you are seeing in your irons are going well, but if you're not seeing it in your driver yet, you're probably not exaggerating enough. So, or there may be a couple more pieces that you're missing. Maybe if you tell me what kind of issues you're having with the driver, it'd be easier for me to suggest something based on what you tell me. Mike, what effort level do you feel that you swing at when you play? I've been changing some parts of my swing based on your videos, but my sequencing falls apart as I attempt to swing hard in a 70% effort. It's tough to say if you're, especially if you're working on things while you play. I mean, up here in Canada, it's pretty much 6-month season, 6-month off season. So most of my clients who I work with will get most of the work done during the off season, and then when they play, they just kind of play. So it's hard to say. It's hard to make changes, especially sequential changes to your swing in season. To answer your question about what level I swing when I play, I personally didn't play much this past year. I probably played less than 5. I think I played 5 times, less than 10 for sure. But I do try to get my clients, especially my better clients, to swing driver at full effort when they play. Irons up to them, ranges from 70 to 100%, depending on the player, depending on how fast they already swing it at. But I typically do encourage them to swing driver at full effort when they play. Good to hear, Steve, that you're getting better, that you can hear the volume now. Aaron, hey Larry, I get down to the squat position okay, but what should be feeling of getting from there to the finish? Well, the squatting position really is a matter of loading into the ground to start the downswing, and then you should react back up. So when you perform let's say you perform a normal back squat, if you're working out, or a body weight squat, you're gonna squat down in the ground with the intention of pushing back up. So when you squat down to start your downswing, the intent of that is to help you push back up. So to answer your question about how do you get there to the finish, you should just literally be pushing up and rotating to propel the rest of the body and the arms and the hands and the club back through the ball into your finish. Jordan, 2 questions. Do you have an option for single online lessons? No, I don't do that single online lessons. I used to. I just didn't really like the format of it. I don't enjoy it as much. It's not as fun. And I feel like there's a lot of nuances that needs monitoring that expands way past the single online lesson option. So I just don't feel comfortable offering that, and I just don't enjoy it as much just because the progress doesn't really pan out the way I would like it to pan out. Can keeping the trail heel down longer help with heel strikes? It definitely could. A lot of the times, actually, let me just go to the sim here. So a lot of heel strikes happen when the club gets pushed into the ball. Yeah, this should be okay here. I'm gonna probably have to get a higher table next time for this. So keeping your heel on the ground is a good way to, it's a good thing for you to try to be less, to get less heel contact. Because you can see if the heel is on the ground, it probably means my right hip, my right leg has not pushed into the ball, right? If the right heel lifts up off the ground early, a lot of times it happens because one, you're not keeping your butt back, and two, when it happens, your right knee, your right hip, your right butt moves closer to the ball. It pushes your hands closer to the ball, and when your hands push closer to the ball, the hawse on the heel pushes closer to the ball. So by keeping your heel on the ground, it gives you more space to come through the ball. So if you keep your heel on the ground and push and turn through it, it would definitely be a plausible action for you to correct those heel strikes. But you're gonna have to try it out first. Matthew Foster, what are your stock club yardages? So typically I try to hit my 7-iron like 175, 180, and then like 13 yards or so in between. It really just depends on whether the pin is front or back, but kind of 180, 187, let's just say 175, 7-iron, 190, 6-iron, 160, 8-iron, and then you just kind of like add or subtract 13 yards or so based on down or up club. Kyle, I keep leaving putts short other than practice. Do you have any other advice? Just maybe try to hit it harder. One thing I will say, when I was caddying for one of the kids that I teach at a qualifier, to help her calibrate herself better with the green speed, I would often say leave it 2 feet short or 3 feet short, just to help her get a better sense of what to try to do. Now I can only do that because I know her tendencies and I know her. I've known her for a long time, so I can suggest that. So for you, if it's a matter of try to hit every putt 2 feet longer, 5 feet longer, whatever it is to trick your brain to have a different intention to not leave putts short, then that would probably be the way to go. Tony, as most people in the lockdown, I'm working on my putting lots. Are you doing any putting videos soon? Not really, nothing planned. Maybe it's just nothing really planned in the books for putting videos. In lockdown, the easiest way to practice putting is just putting down an industrial ruler, just to help you with your start line. If you can start your putts online, and if you can see straight line, if you can start your putt online on what you see, that would definitely go a long way when the lockdown eventually lifts. So if you get an industrial ruler, I think they're usually 4 feet long. Because it's such a straight line, it just trains your eyes, and it does help you get better with your start lines when you putt. Tony, hit it harder, Kyle. Yeah. Tom, very excited for Pinehurst. Weather this weekend doesn't look great, but will be fun nonetheless. Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fun. It's funny because it almost seems like everyone I've talked to who has gone for some golf trip, the weather hasn't been too good lately. So hopefully the weather forecast changes for you, Tom. Victor, can you talk about the wedge system swing? Is it similar to a half swing but with a more narrow stance? Do you still squat and rotate, loop, pelvic extension, finish? How do you prevent wedge system shank? So that's a lot of questions in one question. So typically when you're having a wedge system swing, let me just move the green to 40 yards. It is very close to a half swing. All right, 40 yards. So let me just grab. So I got my 58-degree wedge for a 40-yard swing. So for me and a lot of other clients I work with, we base the wedge system checkpoints based on feeling waist high or feeling stomach high, right? And you're going to see my swing is way bigger than waist high. I'm super aware of that, but I know if I feel waist high, it gets me, I can replicate it more often than not, and I'm probably going to hit the distance. So you can see I have a pretty narrow stance because the swing is small. The smaller the swing, the narrower the stance. I'm not trying to generate power. I don't need a wider stance. We don't need to push up and rotate that much. But the sequencing should be pretty similar. So in terms of if I have a full swing where I feel like my legs squat and rotate and push back up, I still may feel a little bit of that, not as deliberately, but you're gonna see when I hit these swings, you will see my legs regain flex. So you will see my legs regain flex as I start my downswing, okay? So when I make my downswing, I kind of have my legs regain flex and then push back up. I still try to keep the sequencing the same. I still want my legs to start, I still want my legs to lead the way. And that's what helps me create flow in the swing, still have the right sequence of starting the swing from the ground up. I really like things to stay really consistent when it comes to keeping the intention of the swing the same from the wedge up into the driver. You're just gonna have smaller amounts, whether it's a smaller squat and rotate, a smaller loop, a smaller pelvis punch, whatever it may be. You're still doing the same motions. You still have the pelvis extension, just because any push movement, you're gonna have extension at the end of the movement. It's just smaller and not as hard with the intention of trying to create max force. So hope that helps. If you're shanking it, you're probably starting with your arms first. Okay. When I see people shank wedges, they often make a decent backswing, or they lift the backswing so you can see the club moves further away from them, the hands move further away from them. That could also lead to shanks. But if you have a decent backswing where things just kind of slide in and then up, as long as you start with the legs first, you're probably not going to shank it. If you start with the arms first, where the arms leave your chest early, and you can see my arms and hands get thrown away from my body, then the hosel also gets thrown further from me towards the ball. That could also lead to the shank. So if you have wedge shanks, I would really make sure you're staying in your heel side of your feet during the backswing and the downswing. Stay in your heels, really making sure that your legs start first. And you can see when I do that, the arms trail my body because my legs are going first, and that should hopefully reduce the likelihood of you hitting wedge shanks, Victor. So hope that helps. John, hi Larry. Best way to move strike on driver from toe? Into, out, and up 3 degrees. So that's pretty good. If you hit up 3 degrees, it's great. It's not excessive. You're inside out, that sounds good too. If you're hitting it on the toe, I would suggest hitting. There's a few things I could probably suggest for you. Let me know what your ball flight is like first. I'm assuming you're probably gonna overdraw the ball if you're hitting it off the toe, but just let me know what your ball flight is first, John, before I offer a suggestion, as there are a couple suggestions that I could give. Jack, thanks. I will hop on the swing catalyst and video myself. Should be able to give you an idea of what's going on with the driver. Let me know what your misses are. Let me know what your misses are, and I will help. However, I will say I'm not gonna look at your video and then help. I just gotta keep things consistent with all my online stuff. So I don't look at people's videos unless it's through online lessons. But you're welcome to let me know what your misses are through this chat here, and I'll do my best to help out. Mike, I've been watching a lot of your videos regarding early extension and losing my spine angle standing up. Do you have any suggestions for training aids that may help? No, not really. One, I'm not really a training aid guy, and two, I don't know really how a training aid could potentially help. You really just got to exaggerate the feels, really. Like, so when you early extend, if you early extend, you know that your hips are moving towards the ball and your upper body is standing up. So if you know that that means this and this with the upper body, you really just got to feel the opposite as much as you can, right? So if you're someone that swings early extending, where you're here, you early extend, your pelvis moves towards the ball and your upper body stands up, literally, I would just try your very hardest to push your butt back and keep your chest down through the ball. Watch yourself on video and see if you're still early extending, right? You just got, it's just doing the opposites. If you're early extending, you know it, and you know early extension is chest up, pelvis forward, just literally go butt back, chest down, and see what happens from there. And then from there, you can then try to replicate those feels at a higher speed, whatever it may be, to hopefully help you incorporate it back into your full swing at full speed. Chris, tell me your thoughts on wrist flexion and ulnar deviation at impact with driver swing. I don't really talk about that with any of my clients at impact. You can't really talk about impact on impact specifically. What happens at impact is a result of what happened of the swing before the club reaches the ball, right? So you will have a shot of controlling your movement in the backswing and a start of the downswing. It's very tough to try to time a change at impact. So for most players, they will benefit from having their wrist in flexion in transition, and they will benefit from trying to ulnar deviate in transition. If you do that in transition, most likely it will still be moving towards that direction in the later in the downswing into impact. So I like wrist flexion and ulnar deviation for most players, generally speaking, but I don't have any of them think that at impact with driver or irons or wedges or whatever. I have them think that more in transition, and then whatever happens from there. And we just try to make sure that the body is moving well to support those, how the wrist is moving so that it can carry on into the rest of the swing. Quan, hey Larry, you said that I am going down too much compared to the rotate. Didn't you say that you use the ground to get more power push against the ground? I'm still a bit confused with that. Totally. So, and you can ask me we work together online, Quan. You can ask me through the app as well. But just because I'm asking you to rotate more and not go down too much doesn't mean you're not going down at all, right? So you're someone who has too much squat with no rotate. We're trying to find a good blend. So when you're swinging, you want to make sure that you're trying to squat and rotate, push up and rotate. You can see the two blend together. You're squatting with okay rotation to around here, and then you stand back up, okay? There is no rotation in the second half of the downswing, which is why you need to feel more rotation with less squat. Because even though I'm asking you to squat less, you're still squatting. You just need to feel no squat and more rotation so you can blend the two components better together, Quan. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, keep asking away. Adam, appreciate those kind words. Very glad it's helping you out. Heap. Let me know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly. I would assume it's Heap Vu. Winter golf in Texas, tight lies and fairways, sometimes with little or dormant grass. Any suggestions for preventing thin iron shots? It's tough. It's tough to say without seeing someone seeing you swing. But most players who thin shots generally may be holding onto their wrist angles too much. So you're holding onto your wrist angles. You're not releasing your wrist angles, right? Which is why I talk a lot about the down hinge and the ulnar deviation. So if you can down hinge and release your angles more in the downswing, that may help you hit less thin shots, help you bottom the club out a little bit better so that the strike of the shot rises a little bit more on the club face. Seb, what's your best drill for club face control? Honestly, making half swings is a really, really good way for you to build awareness of where the club face is. Literally like making half swings where, let's say you grab it mid-iron. At setup, your face is pretty much square at setup, right? If you try to maintain that as you turn and turn, and see what the ball flight's like. So I saw that ball flight was right to left, which is totally in line with what I like to see with my stock shot when I go full swing. Then I know I will build a better awareness of how to move my body to move this club and face through the shot the way I would like to see it, right? So you can see when I make these half swings, it's relatively small and slow. A lot of the times when people make half swings, either one, their contact isn't very good, or two, they have no idea of how to hit the ball to do what they want to do. So let's say someone wants to hit a draw, right? If you can't hit a draw with this half swing, it's very tough for you to actually know how to hit a draw when you eventually hit a full swing. So doing these half swings at a slow speed really force you to move correctly, and it'll also help you build awareness of how to move your body properly. The slower you move, the more intent you need to have to move the way you want to move, so that the club head and the club face moves to the ball that you want it to move to give you a predictable ball flight. Okay, so I suggest making half swings like that, slow speed with a mid iron, and try to get the ball flight that you want to see. If you want to hit pull cuts, by all means, try to hit pull cuts with the half swings. But I do like the halves, doing slow half swings to build club face control. Patrick, I don't have any issues with slicing, overfading with any clubs, other clubs, but my hybrid and 3-wood. Any suggestions to get accurate with those clubs? If you're slicing and overfading your longer clubs, chances are you're probably not coming from the inside enough, and I would suggest you feel a bigger loop. I talk about the loop a lot on my on the videos on my channel, where if you loop it, it's pretty much the easiest way right now to reduce a overfade or an overslice or a cut pattern or an outside in pattern, because you don't really have to change too much. I know it sounds crazy to say you don't have to change too much, but literally, like, if you make your same backswing, then just do your best to loop things behind you as you still turn through the ball the same way. It should help you not fade or slice, because one, if you fade or slice, your face is probably going to be open. Two, if you fade or slice at your answer the ball left before it fades or slice, you're probably coming outside in. So if you're seeing pull fades, pull slices, I would try your best to feel like you're looping things behind you, so you come more from the inside. Now, if you're hitting push fades and push slices, that just means your face is very open at impact, and I would just try your best to feel like the face is more closed in the backswing and in the downswing as well. Okay, just try to hit pull draws, straight draws, whatever it is, close the face as best you can. Do whatever it takes to close the face as much as you can if you hit push fades and push slices. So a couple of options for you to explore depending on what kind of over slices or fades you're hitting. Dennis, when should the transition start? Depends on the player. Some people feel the transition start right before they finish the backswing. Some people have it start after they finish the backswing. Just depends on the player, what feels right for them, what flows well for them. Matthew, in your opinion, is a neutral hand grip a must-have? Currently using a fairly strong one, especially with the lower hand. No, I don't think it's a must-have. I don't think any grip is a must-have. If you're good at doing what you do, by all means, keep going with it. But I rarely change grips with most of my clients. There is no like one must-have way. I have some preferences, but there is no must-have ways. Sillier turtle. I have a TS2 driver, 10.5 loft set to 9.75 and 0.75 upright. My swing is a little over the top, and it's not going very right on me, but really high and spinny. Get lessons or a new driver or both? You probably need to change your swing. I would look at changing your swing first. It will give you a much more better bang for your buck long term than changing your driver, because I mean, a driver could work, but if the new driver doesn't work, then it's probably some issues with your swing. So you kind of pick your battle with that one. Jack, if your miss is right, and I'm assuming you're a right-handed golfer, then I would suggest if your irons are modestly right to left, but your long club misses are right, either your face is open or you're not inside out enough with the longer club. So whatever you're doing to help yourself get that modest right to left ball flight with your irons, I would suggest exaggerating it more with your longer clubs. So to have it inside out, to have a modest right to left ball flight, assuming you're a right-handed golfer, you need to be slightly inside out. So whatever you're doing to help you be inside out, you just got to exaggerate more of that for the longer clubs, Jack. Alex, on good short iron shots, what groove number should the center of the ball hit? I would not worry about that at all, Alex. If it feels good, if the ball's going where you want it to go, that's all that matters. James, try tips to improve angle of attack with iron. Struggle to be more than 3 degrees down with 6 iron. If you hit the ball well, there's no issues being a little shallower. If you're someone who has a slower club speed, there's no issues with being a little shallower. Now, if you're someone who has pretty high speeds, then you can run into issues being too shallow if you're also too much inside out. For the sake of answering your question, if you just want to hit down on it more, I would suggest making sure you're maintaining your posture, maintaining your inclination a lot better. And I usually have people feel like their lead shoulder stays down and around for a lot longer. That typically helps them hit down on it more than before. If you overdraw with toe strike, John, I would suggest hitting off a lower tee and moving your ball position back a little bit. See how that goes. Corbin, I have had the shanks for a month now and literally can't hit the ball and I'm lost. Any tips? I would suggest start with making some half swings and then work your swing back up bigger. Making sure that you're staying in your heel side of your feet when you make your downswing, so that things don't get pushed towards the ball. But I would just make little half swings, get a good feel for that, and then slowly work it up. Slowly working it up doesn't mean you make a half swing and then all of a sudden you're making big swings again. It's literally you're making a 10% swing, a 20% swing, a 30% swing, 40% swing. Increase the size slowly as you gain more confidence and a better feel for how the body's moving, and then you can keep making it bigger back to the full swing. Neil, did you end up putting the associated folders of the free workouts in? The workouts should be there. All the programming should be there. I'm gonna take a look after this, Neil. So email me, Neil, to make sure that I don't forget. Just send me an email and I'll email you back after I check. You're welcome, Chris. You're welcome, Quan. Yeah, silly. If you're fit for that driver and you're still high and spinny, then you probably could get better with lessons. If you just bought that driver off the rack, a fit might help. Just tough to say for sure exactly. But if you have time and the resources to devote into lessons and practicing, then that I would think will always get you the bigger return long term. Randall, best tip for wrist flexion was throwing my hands at the ball causing big hook miss. Change my swing a bit to rely more on body rotation than throwing the hands, more hitting push fades. I would just feel like your face is more closed in the backswing and see how that goes from there. That would probably be an easier way to do it. If you, at setup, most people set up their lead wrist is pretty flat. If you feel like the face is more closed, the face should actually bow and get into flexion a little bit more. So try that first, just to help you close the face a little bit more. Hendricks, where should the pressure be, left versus right foot at setup, top of swing and impact? So setup kind of varies 50-50-ish. Some people may bias more on the lead foot side just to give them a little bit of a push back into the trail foot. I like to see people load 70 to 80% of their pressure into the inside trail foot, inside trail heel at the top of the backswing at impact. I'm really not picky as long as they hit the ball well with predictability and speed. I'm not really too fussy about what happens at impact. Quan, in your previous video, you showed torque your right foot. Is that something that will help me rotate more? Yeah, if you torque your right foot properly, so let's say this is your right foot and this is your left foot, right? So if your right foot torques clockwise, you're a right-handed golfer, Quan, your right foot's torquing clockwise outwards. That should get your hips to start turning counterclockwise towards the target. Now, you can see like I am showing you this clockwise spinning or screwing motion. The foot literally will not slip like that, but you're going to feel like you push in that direction, and because of the grip of your shoe to the ground, that will counteract, that will make the hip react and turn counterclockwise. But you can ask me more as well on the online lessons if that helps. Dan, I struggle with my hands being away from my body through the entire swing. Thoughts? If you struggle with your hands being away from your body during the swing, then you literally just have to do the opposites, right? Someone who struggles with their hands being away from the swing because they're probably lifting their hands away from them very early in the backswing like this, and it's away, you just got to feel the opposite, feeling like the hands stay low and inside in the takeaway, feeling like the lead arm is strapped against their chest at the top of the backswing, and feel like it stays strapped against your chest in the downswing. That will help you make sure you're not having your hands stay too far away and in front of your body. That would probably be the feel I would suggest you think about, Dan. Chen, hey Larry, sold your R11S driver head a number of years ago. How do you correct severely into left swing path? Yep, I remember that. I still have that driver. One of my favorite drivers that I've used. If you're severely inside out, chances are you're probably tilting back quite severely, meaning, so if you tilt back severely, usually people who are inside out severely is usually too much lateral movement of the lower body and the downswing, and the upper body tilts back, okay? When that happens, you are going to be very severely inside out. You're here, that happens, and hands drop straight down. If you're tilted like this, you're not going to rotate. You have nowhere to go but throw everything out that way, right? So you got to feel like at the top of the backswing, you stay on your trail foot, and you feel like the left shoulder, the lead shoulder just works down and around, feeling like your hands stay up. So from the face-on view, if you stay on your right foot, it may feel like you're doing this, but you're probably not going to in reality, okay? But as an exaggeration, you're going to have to feel like you stay on your trail foot to help you not push your lower body forward. Feel like the left shoulder really goes down and around as you keep your hands up, and it may feel very over the top, but you're gonna probably see and feel that reduce your inside out, and that swing was actually 2 degrees outside in on that last one. So that would be a feel that I would suggest you do. Hey, what's scared? I'm late. Do I have to do push-ups? Only if you want to. Dan, will you critique my swing if I post a link? I offer online lessons where people send me videos and we work on a month-to-month basis. I can help you further with that. You can email me at larry@larrycheunggolf.com, but I don't offer any swing critiques or analysis through video unless it's through the online coaching, just to keep it fair for all my clients. AJ, cute hoodie, thank you. Yeah, I like this hoodie quite a bit. It's very comfy and cozy as well. Hendricks, best way to pitch the club up in the back so my hand path tends to go outside to make it work. If it works, great. There's no need to change if you don't want to. If you don't like making your hands go outside to get the club up, you just got to make sure you don't rotate your forearms so much. So typically people who have issues of getting this club to work up, I don't like them to do this to cheat it. It's usually because they're rotating their forearms too much, okay? So if you rotate your forearms clockwise as a right-handed golfer or counterclockwise as a lefty, if you rotate your forearms too much, you can see the club goes way inside, doesn't go upwards, right? At setup, the club is outside your hands, right? So if you turn and the hands come low and inside, if you don't rotate your forearms, the club stays outside your hands. As you bring your hands up, if you don't rotate your forearms, the club will also come up on its own. You shouldn't have to artificially hinge your wrist too much to get your wrist up. Now, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do for everyone, but for most amateur golfers, I think who hinge too much, if you start trying to add too much wrist hinge like this, the lead wrist gets too cupped, the face gets too open, bad things happen in the downswing, which is why I suggest people to feel no hinge. So if you feel no forearm rotation as the hands go in and up, and you can see everything goes up together, then you'll be able to get the club to go up without trying to force your hands to go outside. Michael, what feels or thoughts do you make for putting? Not really. It just depends on what kind of putt it is. If it's a short putt, 15, 20 feet and in, I just look at the hole. Outside of that, I just make sure I have good pace. Velocity technology. I am battling early extension all my days. My miss is high rights. Question is, should the hips turn horizontally or on an angle in the backswing? So for most people, I have them feel a very level turn. It's still going to turn on an angle. I don't think I've asked anyone to actually feel like they turn on a tilt. So like you can see, like if we stand straight, both left and right hips on the same level, right? If we turn while standing straight, it's very horizontal, it's very level. Because we're bent over at setup, if you still try to turn level, the right hip should already be higher than your left hip. For most players, they don't have to add tilt to it, because I see a lot of times, especially a lot of amateur golfers, if they add tilt to it, they start sliding lower body away, upper body starts tilting towards the target. If you turn level, it's one less thing to do, and your right side, your trail side will already be slightly higher than the lead side. So I would suggest you just feel like you turn more level in the backswing, if I were to guess based on what you're telling me. Alan, hi Larry, what drills or exercises get to help transfer away to the lead side? And sometimes when I get to the heel on my lead side, I find it difficult to stay in balance. If you're someone who early extends and you're trying to get into the heel for the first time, you will lose balance. It's inevitable. I don't think I'd rather people lose balance but still move properly than hold their balance but not move properly. In terms of feeling like they transfer away to the lead side, I very rarely actually talk about the weight transfer, because if you move well, if you push off your trail foot properly, depending on player working side by side with the lead foot, your weight will automatically already be on your lead side, just because the target is on your lead side. You're swinging something towards the target side. You don't really have to consciously think about weight transfer. It should just kind of end up there. The best, I guess a simple analogy that you can think about is trying to throw a medicine ball. If you throw a medicine ball, like you load the medicine ball on the trail side, for you to throw it hard, you have to push off the trail foot towards the target. And you can see if I push off my trail foot, my hips extend, and then my arms will eventually sling off my chest. If you try to throw med balls as hard as you can, that would probably give you a good sensation of how to push off your trail foot and eventually end up on your lead side, rather than just thinking about it from a weight transfer standpoint. Scott, hi Larry, I'm hitting up 2 to 3 degrees of driver, but path is usually 1 to 2 out to in. What good drills can you do to move the path? Seems like nothing is clicking for me. I think that there's a video on my YouTube channel. I think it should be pretty easy to find. If you go to my channel, under popular uploads is video 3, how to improve your driver swing. That should help you be more inside out. So I suggest watching that one, Scott. Edmund, hi Larry, do you have any tips to close the face more at impact? Should I be blowing my wrist more? If you're trying to close your face more at impact, I would suggest trying to close the face more in the backswing. If that still doesn't help, I would suggest you try to close the face more early in transition and keep closing it. Don't try to close the face more at impact. You're not going to be able to time it. You have to do it as early as possible. So try to close it first in the backswing. If that doesn't help, keep it as close as you can in the backswing and then further close it to start transition. That would be my suggestion. You're welcome, James. You're welcome, Corbin. Whisker, Larry, how are you progressing with your own goals for getting more enjoyment in golf this year? So far, so good. It's not that I didn't enjoy playing golf last year. I just enjoyed working and growing the business more this past year. With the thought of lockdown happening again, which it did, I just wanted to make sure I was the best. I was well prepared to weather the storm. So far, so good. We'll see what happens this summer. I do plan on playing more golf this summer. But if better opportunities do arise, I will have no problem not playing as much this year and try to play more the following year. That doesn't mean I'm not enjoying it. It just means something of greater opportunity is there for me rather than playing golf that may provide more enjoyment for me at this moment in time. Billy Beer, no matter what I try, I can't stop myself throwing my trail shoulder at the ball coming over the top slice. So I would watch the videos where I talk about looping in my channel. I would also suggest you watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The seventh most recent video on my channel, I go over one of my favorite drills. If you do that drill, that will also help you not throw your left trail shoulder out and also help you not be outside in. So I would watch that video, Billy. Randall, best way to get comfortable hitting inside. Hit more often inside and you're going to get more comfortable with it. Lots of tension on shoulder, arms, and grip when addressing the ball's tips. Tough to say. I mean, sometimes people confuse tension with engagement. I like the grip to be firm at setup. The body should be engaged for explosive movements. If you feel very tense in your shoulders and arms, I would just experiment with, when you set up, experiment with gripping the club firmly without this getting too tense and see how you can do it. And then if you can somehow figure that out, then try to bring it into the swing. Robert, hey Larry, love the vids, keep it up. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoy it. You're welcome, John. You're welcome, Kwan. Problem with toe strikes and shorter irons and wedges. If you're hitting toe strikes, you may be standing up out of it with the upper body. So when you stand up out of it with the upper body, so in the downswing, if you're doing this, you're standing up, you get further from the ball, the toe would start moving, the club starts moving towards you. That may result in you hitting it on the toe. So I would suggest you feel like you maintain your inclination better, feel like your butt stays back but your chest stays down, or feel like your chest goes more down, then that may help you hit it less on the toe. Because if your chest is more down, your incline is more maintained, you should not be hitting it that much on the toe. So see if that helps. Let's see. You're welcome, Dan. My only word is, even though my hands are away from my body, I still hit draws and hooks. If you're hitting draws and hooks, and if you're hitting draws and hooks when your hands are away from your body, they may be pull draws and pull hooks. Okay, if your hands are away from your body, you're probably hitting draws that start left of target line. If you're a right-handed golfer, so if that's the case, I wouldn't be worried. If you're hitting push draws and push hooks with your arms away from your body, that's very tough to do. So yeah, let me know if your draws are ones that start right of target or left of target, assuming you're a right-handed golfer. Right. Any tips for hitting irons off of tees that seem to have less control? I have tried to hit from ground, but contact is better from tee. I would suggest tee it very low. I would try that first. Tee it very low. Make sure you're not teeing it too high. Make sure the ball position is not creeping up too far up in your stance because of that tee. Make sure the ball position would be the same on the tee or on the ground, but just make sure you tee it up really, really low. Any drill, Jacob? Any drills to help get more down on the ball and past the ball? I would feel like your lead shoulder goes down in the round. That would be a good way to do it. Feel like your lead shoulder and your chest is going down closer to the ground during the downswing. It sounds like you just stand up out of it from what you're asking me. Jack, Larry, do you recommend a slight tilt, say 8 to 10 degrees of the driver? I don't recall you an advocate of that. There's going to be already a slight tilt at setup because your trail hand is lower than your lead hand. Because your trail hand is lower than your lead hand, your trail shoulder will be lower than your lead shoulder. That's right, or automatically going to create some tilt. For most players, they don't have to artificially create it. Now, it's tough to say for sure. I never look at degrees to the degree with any of my clients. If it looks right and they can move well, that's all that matters. So I wouldn't get too caught up with trying to have a specific number of tilt at setup to your driver. As long as your upper body is not forward of the lower body at setup, you're probably going to be okay. Alex, on short iron shots, 8 iron and shorter on typical perfect lie, should your hand position at address be even with ball or forward press the ball? Just depends on the player. I'm not too picky. If you hit it well with even with the ball, forward of the ball, it really doesn't matter. Just depends on the player. If you are a beginner golfer, maybe slightly in front of the ball would be a good place to start. But aside from that, that's about it. Neil, where are you based? I am in Toronto, Ontario, in Canada. That is where I'm based. Randall, what you explained about wrist hinge is exactly what I do. I artificially hinge too much. That's kind of what I have tried working on. Also, the artificial hinge is why my face is so open to impact. Yeah, totally. If you have too much hinge and you don't release it in time, the face could definitely be very, very open. So that sounds about right. Jamie, I sway a lot in the downswing to the lead side and get flippy as a result. Any good feels or drills? I would suggest you feel like you stay on your back foot in the downswing until the finish. I would feel like you're hitting off your back foot. That will help you not get so slidey in the downswing. And then from there, feel like your lead shoulder goes more down and around. That would just help you reduce the amount of tilt you have, which would help you reduce the amount of flip you have. You're welcome, Velocity. Hey, if experimenting with less tilt is working, then by all means keep working for it. You're welcome, Alan. You are welcome, Scott. You're welcome, Quan. I will see your videos whenever you upload them. Big head golf. Any tips to slow down torso turn and transition, keep back to target longer to shallow and rotate? The video I just uploaded today, lockdown practice, creating separation and transition, will be a good one to look at. You just have to learn how to resist the turn, feeling like your upper body, your lower body is more engaged. It's not loose. Creating separation like that would help you slow down the turn and transition. I don't really like asking my clients to feel like their back faces the target longer, because more often than not, they start like tilting back. You can see like if I'm here and I don't want to turn too early, if they try to keep the leash back facing the target too long, one, they either start sliding, or two, they start doing this to try to shallow, and that's not what we want. We want to maintain inclination. So you gotta feel like you upper body's here, you hold it there as you try to squat and turn, and you're gonna create more separation, more tension, more engagement in your midsection. It's trying to create separation that way, and then eventually bringing it into the golf swing. So try it like that. You're welcome, Edmund. Glad it is helping. Just gotta check something quickly. Just give me a second. I just gotta take care of something here. Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. Just gotta finish something here. Give me 1 sec. All right, sorry about that, guys. Just had to take care of something there. Let's see. Let's continue here. Easy clap. Larry, you pretty available for online lessons? I'm in California. Was going to get back out to playing in March. Yeah, you can email me for online lessons at larry@larrycheunggolf.com. I can tell you what the options are through the email. Hey, Lefty. Yep, doing pretty well, fortunately. I do plan on doing these lives a little bit more often now during lockdown, so we shall see. John, hi Larry, does the shaft tend to feel heavier when your swing is evolving into more of a shallow swing? I got fitted for a heavy shaft about 2 years, and I'm considering get fit this year. Hard to say. I mean, the feel is so different from player to player. It's hard to comment exactly on that. So can't really say. I appreciate the kind words, Jonathan. Your swing has come a long way in the last 6 months. You're welcome, Don. Haha, that's good to hear. Easy clap. You definitely need a firm grip on a golf club if you want to swing it with any speed. Hard to create speed if you're gripping it too loose. Velocity. Do you prefer a fade or a draw yourself? I like seeing the ball go right to left. I like hitting little push draws, so that would be my preference. John, would love to hear your thoughts on the perfect balance between getting properly fit and getting proper lessons. Do you feel coaching takes precedence over proper fitting? If you have the resources and the time to improve, I would definitely lean on getting proper lessons first before getting fit. I think long term you will get better value and better enjoyment out of both the lessons and the fit. Lawrence, favorite drill to sync up arms to pivot. If you're talking about the backswing, I would just suggest you make really slow swings, feeling like your arms only move with the torso turn. Aside from that, I do have a drill where you hold the club like a hockey stick and you keep both arms straight while you turn, and you stop moving your arms as soon as you stop turning. So I'm sure you can find it on my channel somewhere. I'm just scrolling through it right now, see if I can find what it's called. But it was like you hold the club like a hockey stick. Can't seem to find it. I'll do it right here. So basically what I like them to do is if you hold the club like a hockey stick, both arms are pretty straight, right? You set up, both arms are straight in front of your torso. You keep your arms straight as you turn, and you can see that's how my arms and club go back and up, and my arms are still straight. People who don't do this well, people who don't have their arms move in sync with their torso turn, they often do this. So you can see my arms go first, the trail arm folds very early, okay? That's not how we want to do it. You turn, keeping both arms straight, and as soon as you stop turning, that's when your arms stop moving, okay? As soon as your torso can't turn, as soon as your right arm, your trail arm can't stay straight, that's the end of the movement. So I would suggest doing that turn to sync up your arm swing with your torso turn. and then eventually bring that same feel of the long arms into your actual swing, and that should help you sync up your arms to your pivot. You're welcome, Jack. No tech requirements. I just have normal LED lights, and they seem to be fine. No issues with the quad. Gears hasn't been installed yet. I will figure it out when Gears does get installed, but I don't anticipate it being an issue. It's just normal LED lights I have on my ceiling right now. If your hand, Dan, if your hand, I guess my question is, how do I get an inside out path with my hands away from my body from down the line most pros and yourself? Can you guys still hear me? Let me know if you guys can still hear me, because it sounds like my earphones may have gone out. Give me 1 sec. Let me grab my plug-in earphones. Yeah, give me 1 second, guys. I'll be right back.